on. It's my turn. It's my turn. Last chance to get these things roll like grind. Don't let it sail out there, no stop my grind. Brighter than the sun, can't be outshined.
Romance novels can come in many forms. They can be audiobooks. They can be ebooks. They can be paperback books. They can even be graphic novels. Have you ever considered writing a graphic novel? For me, I have been thinking about this for a while, and I have had the desire to create a graphic romance novel for a very long time. But the problem is, I've never done it before. I don't know where to begin. So today, you and I are going to learn together what it takes to create a graphic novel. So this information is taken from an article written by Masterclass, and it was posted on September the 13th, 2021. You can check out the online article for yourself, or you can listen to me. How to create a graphic novel. Examples, tips, and a complete guideline. Humankind has long told stories via images, beginning perhaps with the cave paintings of ancient civilizations. It was the 20th century, though, that saw the rise in the medium of comic books, which experienced a golden age during the Great Depression and World War II. During this time period, Marvel and DC Comics became very popular. The Cold War era saw comic books and novels emerge into what is now known as a graphic novel. So, what is a graphic novel? Well, a graphic novel, as its name suggests, is a novel that tells a complete story via illustrations. A graphic novel will offer the type of resolution that one expects from a novel, even if it is a part of a series. Effectively, this makes a graphic novel longer and more substantive than a comic book, which is a serialized excerpt from a larger narrative. Now I have a question for you. Do you know what makes up a graphic novel? Do you know what the characteristics are? According to this article, graphic novels share all the key characteristics of traditional novels, which include a clear beginning, middle, and end, a central narrative or A story, supplemented by, and can be optional, a B story, character development and personal journeys, thematic messaging, and precise, careful, considered dialogue and narration. The obvious distinction between graphic novels and text-based novels is that graphic novels permit their images to do the vast majority of the storytelling, with dialogue, bubbles, and narration boxes to help elaborate the stories. For those of you, like myself, who are venturing into a new arena of storytelling, here are 13 classic graphic novels. Mouse by Art Spiegelman, which won the Pulitzer Prize. Persepolis by Marjane Satrapi. Watchmen by Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons. Ghost World by Daniel Clowes. Ice Haven, also by Daniel Clowes. Daddy's Girl by Debbie Drexler. The Diary of a Teenage Girl by Phoebe Glockner. 100 Bullets by Brian Azzarello and Eduardo Rizzo. Lock and Key by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez. Batman, The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller. Violent Cases by Neil Gaiman. The Sculptor by Scott McCloud. And Jimmy Corrigan, The Smartest Kid on Earth by Chris Ware. I have to admit, I have only heard of one of two of these authors and one of two of these books. Most of this is unfamiliar to me, so I definitely have a lot of reading and research to do. but I am interested, as I said, in creating graphic romance novels. And so for me, this is a challenging, exciting learning experience. Now that we have a list of 13 books that we can read and explore and examine, the next thing we should consider is the type of graphic novel we want to create. The collectors of graphic novels tend to group them into one of 5 categories: superhero stories, which are graphic novels focused on protagonists with superhuman, paranormal, or magical or technological powers, like Spider-Man or Batman. Non-superhero stories, which are graphic novels grounded in the reality of real life. There is also personal narratives, which are graphic novels that tell a story from their author's life, ranging from focused memoirs to full autobiographies. Then you have manga, which are graphic novels conforming to the aesthetics of Japanese comic culture. And last but not least, nonfiction graphic novels that recount real events in history and are rooted in probable facts. You may be wondering, what's the difference between a graphic novel and a comic book? Well, according to the Masterclass article, graphic novels are longer than comic books. They correlate more closely with a full-length novel, while comic books correlate more closely with a short story. Graphic novels contain complete narratives. Comic books contain excerpts of a serialized narrative, which means it can be difficult to read a comic book if you haven't read the comic that comes directly before it in a series. Both comic books and graphic novels can contain complex characters. These characters have detailed backstories and inner conflict. Comic books are produced with greater frequency than graphic novels. They often arrive on a weekly or monthly schedule. So these are some of the differences between the two. So what are some of the things you need before making a graphic novel? Authors wishing to delve into the world of graphic novels need many of the same things that a traditional writer needs. Some are practical and some are stylistic. They include both a writer and an illustrator. Perhaps you can be both. You can write and you can draw. A good narrative with a compelling story is another thing that you will need. A strong creative writing style, which you will need to show equal facility with dialogue and narration. You'll also need a visual style guide and a graphic storyboard, much like a storyboard in filmmaking. This will help you plot each panel of sequential art in your graphic novel. A storyboard can be formally drawn on a large panel, or it can be informally written in an artist's sketchbook. Here are some tips that will help you in the process of creating your graphic novel. 1. Study other comics and graphic novels. 2. Pick a visually interesting setting for your graphic novel. 3. Give your graphic novel just as much texture detail as you'd give a traditional novel. 4. As you outline, storyboard, and write, think about the sequels that you will write. And 5. Write for a graphic novel audience. During the writing process, it's important to keep in mind that the people who voraciously consume graphic novels are not necessarily the same people who read traditional prose novels. You can also go to conventions and talk to readers of graphic novels and find out exactly what they like and enjoy about this medium. Comic books and graphic novels have been a part of my life for a very long time. I have a younger brother who started collecting comic books when he was maybe 9 or 10, and he is still collecting them to today. If you need a person that is an authority on comic books, DC or Marvel, that would be my brother. And I will obviously go to him to get information and help in creating my graphic romance novel. So thank you for joining my platform. If you have any questions, please leave comments below.